Why'd you gotta do me like? Hey yo, what's good? YouTube, what's poppin'? We back up in this thing, and yeah, if anything, 8:35. Market is open. Market is chugging along, and good morning. Good morning. You know, I'm still kind of waking up. I'm drinking this energy drink, and I'm more excited to get on the live stream than I am to take a trade. So, that being said, we may or may not even take a position today because I gotta work like my actual job here in less than an hour and a half. 10 o'clock. It's 8:30 my time, so probably not gonna spend too much time. Not more than maybe like 30 minutes in here giving this market a chance to, create some opportunities. And yeah, that's it. Let me hop on the Instagram though, cause yeah, that's what I was supposed to be doing. Also, getting Instagram up and running. Why you gotta do me like that? Why'd you do me so bad? Why you gotta do me like Alright, now we live on Instagram. Now we live on the YouTube. And bro, I don't even want to trade. I'm gonna be honest. It's one of them days. I do and I don't. It's just I'm not awake. This market can do what it wants right now. So, you know what I'm saying? We just filled a gap. Yeah, also I got like Taco Bell brain. I don't know if that's a thing, bro, but like, how you can't think because you done ate so much Taco Bell the night before that all you can do is be like overran by Taco Bell induced thoughts. I don't know. And they're not good thoughts, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm saying. Tap into the YouTube. We on the charts now, man. I love how like right here you can't really see nothing, but I'm still on live. You can't see my hands though. It's just funny. If only you knew what my hands were doing. Yeah, what is that? Look at that 1 minute. I see like there's a gap here on the 5 minute. With like some demand. That's in some demand. I don't know if price is gonna fill that gap because it has to tap into demand first. And it seems to be rejecting that demand, so I don't know. Y'all tell me, would y'all hop in this buy? I don't know about that one. Why you gotta do me like that? Gotta do me so bad. Cause like if we look right here, right? Like previously when price made this push up, look at all this gap that was in the market, right? So when price came down and filled that gap, as soon as price, not really assumed, but like pretty much once price filled this gap and then tapped into demand, and soon as it started making bullish signals, you can see it went clip these gaps and then we came back down, created equal lows, and then even went and broke, continued the trend and broke the high. So there was like a better imbalance being made here in this structure. I would be looking to take positions, but as I already stated, I got Taco Bell brain, and the market's it's just not giving me like the type of gaps I want to see, above to target right now. Like I said, when price came up here and then came down, right, we had all this gap in the market to target. So even this big wick right here filled those gaps, and then price continued the trend, which is not necessarily inevitable, but like one of those things that's like, you hear it, the trend is your friend, and it's called a trend for a reason. Trends change, of course, but for the time being, this is the momentum, right? These are the vibes, or however you want to look at it. But essentially, that's where you get your biases from, right? Why you gotta do me like that? Gotta do me so bad. I'm trying to elaborate. I ain't gonna hold you. I just not seen your comment. Alright, let me elaborate on this though. So right now, on the 5-minute, which is the time frame, the chart and the time frame that I'm on the top chart, we have price making new highs. Currently right now, price is pushing up, kind of creating a gap in this push up. And then now on the 1-minute, what we see is kind of like that consolidation that we see on the 5-minute, just around 7:30 to 8:30, and then we see this leg up, this kind of aggressive push up. Same thing really, because it is the same thing. It's just like a more detailed look into it, and we're above the 200 EMA on both time frames. So now that price is moving, I'm seeing some gaps down low. You know what I'm saying? On the 1-minute, we could come back, fill those imbalances, maybe sweep some liquidity. But if we could stay above the 200 EMA, more or less on both time frames, and then also on the way back down, create some sort of imbalance as well that we could fill or look to fill, you know what I'm saying, back to the upside, then that's a good setup for buy opportunities. Not necessarily we're just going to start hopping into buys as soon as price goes down and fills the gap and creates some gaps up top, but once we start getting those signals of a rejection of bullish momentum after said gaps are formed and filled, or said gaps are filled / formed, right? Because that'd be more the order it would happen in. A gap, from the impulse in the trend, the impulse leg in the trend, a gap gets created. The pullback or the correction phase, the gap gets filled, and within that phase we could create more gaps through the correction that we could in turn, when we hit another impulse leg of the trend or continuation leg, then that in turn becomes that's the move that fills those correction leg gaps. That's the move that has trend confluence. That's the move that is going to be high probability because you're going with the trend. There's imbalance created, and yeah, and then you just, from what I've seen, kind of the market will correct its correction, and that is where price starts to look favorable for the trend again, and so you get your weak structure from, and that is the structure that is likely to break, with the trend. So if you're in an uptrend, that's going to be your highs. Your highs are constantly getting taken out in uptrends. In the downtrend, that's your lows. You know what I'm saying? You're constantly making lower lows. Yep, so this market is chugging along. It's moving up. Like I said, I'm not going to give too much time to this today because I can't. I really can't. Not right now. I might hop back on after work though, like 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, power hour. But I get off at 2, so it'll be more like maybe 2:30. We'll see what we could do in the closing minutes of the day. I won't try to force nothing though. Hell yeah, we ain't made no money yet though, and that's just, that's okay, because we also ain't lost no money yet. But my point is, if you're bored, with something like this long on the charts, nothing's happening, you're waiting for some action, this is the action, you know what I mean? Like, and some people may look at that as a bad thing, but I look at it as a good thing. Like, with work, with jobs, you got everything's got its own, pros and cons, but this is more like you at least get to like I'm sitting down outside right now, and like I said, if y'all could see what my hands were doing anyway, but like I'm chilling for, lack of a better way to put it. I am just relaxed, and to me ain't nothing wrong with that. Sometimes I get bored. I don't want to sit here and wait for a setup or like explain this and that. But honestly, some days I'm just a sourpuss. Like, bro, like I don't even like when I have that mentality, for real. I think it's a privilege and a blessing that I even get to do this, that I can, get up and, create this opportunity for myself and other people and have this opportunity. So, I'm counting my blessings, man. And that's what I'm trying to do for the rest of my life. So now it looks like we're starting to get some type of pullback, right? I'm gonna mark up what I'm seeing, so that way there could be some context to everything I've said. Hopefully, provide some context. So boom, we got some demand resting right here. We got demand within demand on the 1 minute. Right, okay. We got gaps to be filled. Like on the 5 minute, the gap comes on here. Boom. Appreciate this, right? A little lower maybe. Yeah, line it up with that candle, because the gap is going to be all of this space in between wicks. Wicks are the little lines on the top and bottom of these candles' bodies. So the bodies are the fat part, right? The wicks are the little lines. So as you can see, this last green candle right here, it's got a long wick down here, a little wick up top, but then this next candle is just all body, and then the next candle doesn't have really much wick, just a little bit on bottom. And so there's a gap between the wicks right here. That's a gap in the market, and that's an imbalance, and we could use that as just confluence to get in trades. Like if you wanted to take liquidity grabs or counter trend plays right now, you could target some of those gaps. Even right now, this candle, this last 5 minute candle that just closed, you could see that the one before it, the wick doesn't completely cover the body of that candle. And then when it opens, it creates a little down wick, right? But doesn't go and fill the previous gap, and then goes up a little bit more. And so essentially created another gap, which we can see this candle that's forming, sort of kind of testing, right? Hasn't filled it, but it's kind of testing it. And we're seeing kind of even bullish signals on the 1 minute, right? You could probably hop in this 1 minute position. We did get a break of the candle. We got a little pullback. We got a gap to fill on the 1 minute. You know what I mean? So it's one of those that you could take. I think it's a little high. I think even if it does play out, I don't want to take trades up here necessarily just off the 1 minute. I need a little more confirmation, you know what I'm saying? If that's what price ends up wanting to do, cool, but I'm not gonna trade it right now. Oh, excuse me, I'm a little tired. If I didn't say that already, so I'm sorry for that. Here, I'll mark this up though. Like I said, on the 1 minute, we got a little gap right here, right? In this last little leg push up, this last candle, right? There was a gap created between these wicks, leaving this body down here. We came back, filled that imbalance, right? Price filled the imbalance. Then we got a break of this candle right here, this pullback candle, which is a sign that, you know, price wants to start pushing up. So we could, like I had said, with everything else, it's the same concept. It just doesn't have as much confluence because it's just off of that 1 minute structure. But it does look like this one played out, right? If you just wanted to take like a 1-to-1, you're looking at 26 points on ES. That's not a bad trade right there. And yeah, so if you can get that TP, then that's not a bad trade. But it's just not what I wanted. Like I said, I might not even end up taking a trade today. We might come back, tap into our zone. Who knows? But yeah, it's getting pretty late. It's getting about that time. I'm gonna have to go get ready. So yeah. What am I doing? Here we go again, trying to figure out which way to go. Here we are under the mistletoe, and I can't soda. So I figure I'd write you a song. How the fuck is this? That's paper. Alright. What's price doing? Oh, I ain't gonna lie. If you are in this buy, I would be wary because we do have those gaps down low that I was waiting to get filled, that I'm pretty sure, the market is looking to correct and test. So I'm not saying close your trade, but at this point you're letting a green trade go red. That's all I'm saying. And not saying it's a bad trade. Very well could still hit TP. Still valid. The initial stop loss has not been hit. You don't want to necessarily go moving your stop losses and stuff, but excuse me. All I'm saying is I didn't really want this trade, so I'm just saying what I would have done at this point. I just know me. You very well may be different. And if you look, had you held out, you would have got your TP hit. Step out the frame for a sec. Look, more imbalances being made, okay? Oh, no, we're not going to lock that in. Let me pick this up real quick so you guys can see what I'm seeing. I want everybody to see what I'm seeing. No one should be lost with my content. Alright, so boom. We just created some demand right here on the 1 minute. And that's really all I can say about this. I mean, these last 3 candles have created a gap. We have a gap here. We have a small gap here. We have a gap here all before the demand. We could see price pull back here. Maybe even sweep this liquidity. Still bounce up. We could see it come all the way back down and fill this gap still. And nowhere in that, I don't know. It all depends on how long it takes. Doesn't look like I'm going to get a trade in. It doesn't look like it, guys. Put that back down. Oh, we got news coming out at 9. Is this? Oh man, I don't even know what the news is. What's that? Right now, news just came out, huh? I don't know if it came out good or bad. I'm gonna be completely honest. I'll be getting off of this. I'm getting off of this at like 9:10, 9:15, no doubt. Um, I don't live far from my job, but still. I, honestly, guys, a little pro tip: you don't want to get caught up on the charts too much. Like, yes, you want to maybe give some chart time, like just like when you're in school, you go to each of your classes every day for the most part, even if you're in college, or at least a couple times a week, a few times a week, whatever the case may be. Um, you want to kind of treat trading the same. Like, you don't go to these classes though and spend the entire day there. You give it your time and that's it. You feel me? Then you leave. So like trading is the same way. Like, you come to the chart, you give it a little bit of time, you know what I'm saying? You can sit here, wait around for a setup or whatever, but after a while, you could even take some trades, you know what I'm saying? But after a while, that's it. You want to be done with it. You don't want to sit there and get like locked or like locked in, tunnel vision with it, you know what I mean? You shouldn't have to do that. It's gonna be tomorrow, you know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't sit and try to learn the entire history textbook in one day. You feel me? That just wouldn't be healthy. And honestly, because like, how could you possibly retain all this information, in one go? You feel me? It takes repetition, it takes practice, it takes, all of these things. So just know that by showing up repeatedly, even if just for like 30 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, um, with good intentions, like if you were to be a good student in your class, you know what I mean? And you show up wanting to learn and stuff like that, it'll happen. It'll definitely happen. And just don't be too hard on yourself. Trust, you have a teacher in class. Here, your teacher is a mix between yourself, the charts. Really, your teacher is everything you don't know, right? Anything you're still not sure of or confident on, or, not understanding. That lack of understanding is your teacher. That's, and, the best students understand that they don't know it all, right? And they're in a position where they need/want to learn, right? Man, if this pullback don't happen faster, man, I don't know how this news came out too. So that's in part like, so we had a little gap on the 1 minute. It got filled just now. Maybe get some more gaps in this push down. We'll see what happens. But sorry, I feel like I'm a little bit here and there all over the place, but I just want people coming across this video to be able to leave with some understanding, you know what I mean? You don't have to get everything I said, but if you get one more thing that I said this time around, then you understood last time. If you come back to this video, after studying or maybe putting a couple days in, doing your 20, 30, 45 minutes to no more than an hour a day, you should be spending on the charts for real. And then, and even then, the only time I find myself staying on that long is like, for example, right now, I'm about to get off, but if I seen a setup really like that I really liked, or that I've been sitting here, if the setup I was sitting here talking about started to maybe get close to playing out, I would sit around and wait to see what happens, maybe, to see if it does or doesn't in fact, give us that. But like, for example, the market's kind of doing something slightly different from what I was hoping, which is cool because, see, I haven't gotten a trade because it hasn't given me the signals I wanted to see. And it's given me some signals, don't get me wrong, but they're just not the ones it's not that I wasn't ready for them. It's not that I didn't see these things. It's just, I got to know myself. And I know right now I don't want to force nothing. There's no need to, right? There's going to be more opportunities. And if anything, I put my time in. You feel me? So, like, I can see now, like, I could take certain things away from today. Like, maybe some days I want to be a little more aggressive when prices giving me some opportunities, but because you want to think like, you can spot these opportunities, so why not take them sometimes? But you just gotta be picky. You feel me? I have what I define as an A+ setup, and at the end of the day, we didn't lose no money. You know what I mean? And in the long run, it's that type of discipline that, separates profitable traders from unprofitable traders. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I'm eager to hop on the live, but not so much to trade. And a lot of traders aren't making that distinction. Like, they're not telling themselves, or they're not aware of themselves or acknowledging their feelings and emotions and how they're actually playing into their decision making, right? Like, the reason I said it like that, I'm eager to hop on the live, not so much to trade, is because whether it be true or not, I want to have the mindset that, of discernment, of control. So it's like I'm telling myself that to trick myself and to remind myself that, trading isn't something that, you force. You feel me? I could hop on this live stream anytime I want and, break down these charts whenever. But when it comes to actually trading and putting my risk on the line, I want to make sure that I'm taking setups that completely, line up with my system. I don't want to like go strategy hopping. Don't get me wrong, these setups line up with my system, but they're not my A+ setups, right? I've seen the market do this. I could have taken any one of these little impulse legs up right now, but it's just not what I was, ready for, which is completely fine. And I'm able to, make that distinction, like, and I don't feel like I'm missing out. Had I told myself, oh, I want to trade so bad, like, I would have probably took a trade, you know what I mean? So I don't know. You just gotta make sure when you're on these charts, your priorities are not just forcing things, not just trying to force yourself to figure out. You gotta trust this process. I know that sounds super cliche, but you gotta trust the process. And with that being said, it's 9:10. The market hasn't given me anything I like. Watch this pullback come down and happen now, but we're not gonna see it here on the live. I don't know, maybe I'll give it those 5 extra minutes. I'll give it those 5 minutes, and that's it. That's it. Because, like I just said, half of the battle is not trading, right? As much as trading in itself is what you're doing, it's the intention, goal, or however you put it. Not trading is a very powerful skill set. You know how they say silence is loud? Being able to just watch price action and being able to just sit out of the market because you have a deep understanding of like your system, your strategy, your process. You know, when you finally get to that point where you have a system of rules, where you have a system of confluences and confirmations and things that you look for, it's really easy to sit out all of these other things that, you know, don't line up with your plan. And when things do line up, you know, that's another thing. You gotta have a real edge in these markets. You can't just be out here trading a strategy that you haven't tested. But that's what I mean. Like, put in a little bit of time every day, and you'll get it tested out. You'll fill it out. But if you go trying to just like try everything in one day, or expect to have it all figured out in one day, you know, that's probably not gonna happen. Like, there's just another buy signal. It's a really tight one. It might get stopped out though. I mean, people have been getting away with these trades this whole like last few legs of this little trend, right? But one thing to keep in mind is the trend on the 5-minute, the structure on the 5-minute is not even, you know, like that. So see, now we just hit some stop losses. Maybe we're starting to get that corrective leg. Wow, it would happen when I gotta go, huh? It would happen when I gotta go. Hello, pigeon. Sorry if the birds have been annoying, guys. I know. It's not that bad when you're out here and, you know, you just woke up and stuff. It's very peaceful when you're in it, but I feel like, because I watch my videos back to see, like, you know, if I was still in that place of, like, a newbie trader, and, you know, would I be able to digest, or would there be certain things in my content that stick out to me, or is there actual, because in hindsight, you know, all of the content I used to watch that got me to where I am today, lots of the times, you know, you wouldn't need everything in a video, but you wouldn't know that because you don't know what you don't know when you don't know it, right? So at the time, you know, I was just trying to soak up as much as I could, but in hindsight, I now see what was important and what wasn't in those videos. And so now, when I do my content, I try to stick to the things that really stuck out, really stuck with me now, here, today, you know, in my trading process, and I try to leave out all the things that never really served me. So that's why you'll never hear me talk about stuff like Fibonacci. You're not gonna hear me say nothing about like well, in my newer stuff, if you go to my older videos, you might hear me say something about it, right? Because I've been tweaking my process and stuff for 3 years now, going on 4 for real. So yeah, that's really all I have. It's 9:15. How much you want to bet we're gonna get that pullback? But guess what? I'm not gonna be here waiting for it. I'm not chasing the markets. You know, it may or may not happen. Why would I even sit here and waste my time trying to see what might happen? I don't have anything in this market. I'm not in any positions. So yeah, good luck. Hopefully this video was informative. Hopefully you got some value out of it. If not, let me know how I could have did better. If you have questions, leave them in the comments. Subscribe if you're new here, and you like the video. Hit the like. Peace. Instagram. Did it stop? That shit didn't even stop.